projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing today?
I am good. How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good, man. We were just talking off recording about how it was a good idea to wait a week because man, do we have some stuff to talk about, in-
Dude,
including about 30 minutes ago, big announcement from the NBA, Kyrie Irving being traded to the Mavs. Greg, you are the Mavs fan here. Talk about it.
well, like I was saying, I don't think this team was really going anywhere. We're only 2 games above 500, and the big talk has always been the whole season is finding a number two or someone that could take over the scoring load when Luca's maybe out, like he's been with the injury, or just to give him, it's guaranteed second punch. And Kyrie definitely brings that. Kyrie comes with a lot of stuff, but when he's on the court and actually playing ball, he's still one of the best in the league. So it's just a matter of how the chemistry between those two, how that goes. But I mean, it could be something fun. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. But I'd say it's better sometimes to make a move than to not do anything and um, you know, be a ho hum middle of the pack team that really doesn't excite things. Also, I think it's good because there's eventually Luca. If he doesn't win in Dallas, then people are going to start coming for him and say, "Hey, you got to come here to win a championship." And I think this was a move to say, Mark Cuban showing him, and we're going to try to show you that we can make some moves to at least give you a better chance. And maybe we have after losing Jalen Brunson, then I think this is a pretty good move considering where we have been for most of the season, kind of up and down. I mean, we got hot in December. January really hasn't been that great, and February, Luka's been hurt a little bit, so I like it.
For sure, yeah. Anytime you can add a guy with the talent of Kyrie Irving, you certainly have to think about it and take a shot. And
Mm.
like you said, Luca's needed help for some time now, and so they definitely got him help. We're also talking. A lot of it depends on too if they sign him to an extension.
Right.
Just knowing his kind of history though, with always kind of skipping out after a few years or whatever. How what do you want as a Mavs fan right there? Do you want like a long term or maybe just a couple years, see how it goes?
I
What do you?
would. I mean, I right now I would just want the short term. I mean, we kind of know Kyrie's history. I mean, he's great for a certain amount of time, and then things seem to blow up. And I think that they were talking about after if he were to resign, it'd be like a 2 year, 70 or $80 million deal. And I think that's perfect situation. Because that gives him and Lucas some time for the chemistry. But at the same time, if it doesn't work out, you're in it for 2 years, not too much loss. I mean, it's not a multi-max, $100+ million contract that a lot of guys are getting. So sometimes you swing for the fences. We'll see. We'll see what we do with it.
For sure, yeah. I mean, only one way to really grade trades, and that's to wait to see how they pan out.
Exactly.
It's
But
really amazing how it all happened so quickly. I mean, it had to with the
right.
with the deadline coming up here in a few days.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Because I would just listen to a Mavs podcast this morning. It's funny because I, kind of just getting some thoughts, to talk about on this show as possible what we might do. Then we do some, NBA talk, and we wasn't really sure that we are going to make any blockbuster moves because that really hasn't been a Dallas thing, around the trade deadline. But I guess it kind of changes everything because on their podcast and what I was thinking, eventually, they always talk about moving Dorian Finney-Smith and he's always on the block. So I mean that makes sense that he's actually finally moving. He had a good tenure in Dallas, solid middle guy. But Dinwiddie, he's put up some good numbers. But and when you can get a player like Kyrie, and really, I mean, it's not like earth shattering. I think we lost those two and then like some 28 or 29 picks. So I mean, a couple years down the road, and who knows what things will look like then. So
exactly. As far as going the other way, uh, the Nets will get Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, as you mentioned, a 2029 unprotected first round pick, and two second round picks in 27 and
Right.
29.
Yeah.
Um, the Dallas is also getting Markieff Morris in the deal. I'm sure that's a salary match thing.
Right.
Uh, so as far as the other side of this, the Nets, I mean, so I guess we have to say this has been a failed experiment now with the big three, and
Yeah,
Brooklyn
the big
just
three.
did not work
Yeah.
out. And we got
Not work.
KD's hurt now still, and
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is, I mean, he's worthless. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Ben Simmons, who knows? Like, wow.
So yeah, I guess the next big thing on as far as the Brooklyn side of it is where does KD go from here?
Exactly. That'll be the interesting thing
Mhm,
because I mean, I wonder how involved he was in any of this. Does he know anything that was going on? I mean, was he expecting this to, take place while he's out? I mean, he's and for the majority of the for right before he got hurt. I mean, the Nets were winning games. Had that little 10, 11 game winning streak for a while, and
mhm.
after KD got hurt. They've lost a few, but I mean, still in the mix there. Um, but I mean, at some point, the trading Kyrie seemed inevitable only because of the issues from last season and everything that came from the off season and the additional fines by the owner on Kyrie for his comments there on the anti-Semitic movie there on Amazon. But
Mhm.
so you knew it was gonna come at some point, but wasn't sure when.
Yeah, and there were some teams that were, the Lakers were of course discussed in there, and
Right, the Lakers, and I
the
assume a lot of
Clippers.
that probably just with the Lakers. I would assume a lot of that just has to do with. I'm sure Westbrook would have been the move, and I doubt the Nets wanted to eat that contract.
Yeah, for sure. As exciting as it would be to see a little KD Westbrook reunion.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be good TV, if
yeah,
anything.
exactly. Elsewhere, nothing really big has happened. We had the Wizards and Lakers made a trade. Roy Hachimura made his way to LA, but not
Mhm.
anything else big so far. Nothing big.
You know,
Really elsewhere, Steph Curry got hurt, so he'll be out past the
he
All
got
Star
hurt last
break.
night.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
mid-February.
the Pelicans finally ended their 10-game losing streak last night. Big
Yeah,
win over
yeah, I saw that.
the Lakers. So that's they desperately need Zion back because they have fallen now into the play-in window from being the one seed at one point in the
Right.
season. So
But
um,
the West is just still so wide open though, because I mean, we're sitting at like at the sixth spot in 2 games over 500. So I mean, it just shows you that everybody's kind of in the West for the most part.
oh, it is for sure. You got if you look at the standings now, the Kings are in third place, and then if you go down all the way to the Lakers, who are the I guess technically 13th place and out of the play-in, only 5.5 games separates all those teams.
Exactly.
That's
It's
a
crazy.
lot of yeah. So you go on, even just a couple games slide or winning streak, you're bouncing up a few spots or bouncing down a few spots.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just crazy how
Yeah,
even it looks like it's going to be down the run. And
yeah,
possibly, a lot more exciting end into the season than what we've come accustomed to. Because, a lot of the time you're just towards the end, you're just wondering uh, who's going to be the last couple of teams, or, is a two and a three going to flip around. And, this season, how it's looking a couple of games, and you have a whole different playoff situation. You could drop from that two to that seventh or eighth spot real quick.
yeah, real quick. And over in the East, you got to figure the Cavs are happiest about this trade because they could probably overtake Brooklyn now for that fourth spot
Right.
and get a
Yeah, for sure.
home court in the first round.
Definitely.
Other than that, NBA news, LeBron is closing in on the
Closing in
all-time
on
scoring record. He's about 36 points away, I believe.
right.
So he should get that in the next game or two.
Right.
Uh,
I'm assuming they're probably going to push for that Saturday prime time against the Warriors on it's on ABC. It seems like that's kind of what they're
yeah,
hoping for. We'll see. It is interesting though. I think the first next opportunity for Bron is against the Bucks, which was Kareem's original team. So that's kind
much.
of interesting as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So we'll see that, and of course, I'm sure everywhere in the world will have reawakened the LeBron and Jordan debates.
No, yeah, that
Which maybe we'll touch on that in the off season or something. That'll be when we need some content. But
yeah. When it comes down to is sometimes we just seem to sit back and enjoy what we have in front of
absolutely,
us. Because we're always looking for what's the next big thing. What's the next big thing? And a lot of that just has to do with the amount of shows that are on now, radio and social media. I mean, everything's 24/7, so they have to have something to talk about. But I mean, when we were young and Jordan was the man, like there wasn't any, I mean, there was, I mean, who was the next Jordan, but there wasn't anything like saying it wasn't, as I don't think nearly as big as far as this debate and this that. I mean, I'm sure it was some, but it seems to be a 24/7 debate, and they're just such completely different players. Like it's not even a good comparison if you look at just how they play and what they do for the teams. But
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so that's a debate for another time. I agree with you. I
right,
think it's so hard to compare guys from different eras like that because the rules were so
yeah.
different, even just in Jordan's era. And
Exactly. I
uh,
mean, you just the way fouls were and everything,
mhm,
and then the other thing that always gets me is I mean, I understand the older people are always going to go with the older and when it was tougher and this and that, but you got to think, and they're like, oh, LeBron wouldn't make it in that era, but you got to think about it. LeBron grew up in that era; he would have the same mindset. And can you imagine coming down the lane with LeBron with the 1980 mindset? My goodness.
oh yeah, no, yeah, that those arguments are always ridiculous. LeBron
Yeah.
is a freak of nature and obviously an
He's a
argument for the greatest.
generational talent,
Yeah,
right?
he would have made in any era. Like it's let's
Right,
be
exactly.
honest.
Just like Jordan would make it in any era. Like,
Exactly. If
there's
Jordan played
players
now,
that are going to do it
yeah, yeah,
no
yeah,
matter what.
exactly. If Jordan played now, he would shoot more
Man,
threes, and yeah,
my goodness.
yeah.
Can
But
you imagine with the amount of calls they get now, what Jordan
oh
would
man,
do in the league?
he would average 20 free throws a game.
Oh my
It would be
goodness.
ridiculous. Man, yeah, that's like arguments. I see a lot of people dislike Larry Bird. I'm like, Larry Bird would average 30 a game in today's NBA, man.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
like
Larry
Magic,
would torch
yeah,
fools.
Magic would have 15 assists a game. I mean, those
Man, he
great players
would,
are
yeah, he
great.
would,
Yeah.
yeah. Magic would average about 25 and 12 these days.
Oh yeah, ridiculous. Let's see elsewhere in the NBA. We already talked. I mean, we've talked about how the stars are killing it this year. A quiet one we haven't
Hmm.
mentioned yet. Dame Lillard, man, he's been going off lately.
You really
Um,
have.
Quietly up there in Portland, they're having a solid season. Um, they're they're right there out on the cusp of the play-in. He's trying to pull
Hmm.
them over that line. It'd be interesting to see if they can make a deal to get him some help.
Right.
And then the only other NBA thing I have in my notes are Memphis be fighting, man. The Grizz, they just want to fight. Another.
Yeah, I don't- like, and the bad thing is, like, can they fight? Because based on what I saw on, that he was definitely not get, he was getting beat up. Like Spider was gonna beat him up. Like it was a cheap shot, and he had to right throw the
Mhm.
ball at him. Like come
Yeah.
on, man.
Yeah. So I mean, Memphis is. If I don't know if there's ever been a sports team that's personified their city more than the Grizzlies.
No, they definitely fit the city.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you got to win along with it. And they were lost like 10 of the last 11 ever since that Shannon Sharp thing. It's
Mhm.
been a bad losing streak. You gotta when you got it's cool. I like that personality, that persona, because I mean it just adds something that a lot of teams are missing these days. But you got to win along with it. So I'd like to see them get back to what we know they can be. That make it a lot more fun because
Absolutely. Yeah. 3-7 in their last 10 right now.
yeah.
So they're struggling. Hottest team in the West right now is probably the Suns.
Hmm.
They're making moves, and the Nuggets are still just churning along.
Right.
Um, trying to steal that. And then you got over in the East, you got the Bucks and the Sixers are really hot right now. They've won 9 of their last 10.
Exactly.
So
And
that's a race for the 1 seed in the East now. The Celtics have not run away with it like they look like they might. But yeah, so the NBA second, we still got the deadline coming up. That'll be fun to watch, and then it should be
right,
a really fun second half. Um,
for sure.
yeah, a lot of people always talk about you just wait till the playoffs to watch NBA, but no, not this year. I think it'll be really fun.
No, that's a lot of. I mean, I think the only thing that that people say that the casual fan, but yeah, I mean, if you like the league and the star driven and everybody shows up even when they lose, I mean, you still have cats dropping 40. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
a lot of fun.
All right, but we will move on to let's see my notes. Next, we'll kind of skip sports a little bit. We'll go to Alabama football, the big news this week, which I thought we were going to lead the show with before the Kyrie thing.
Right?
Uh,
Yeah, thought that was the main thing coming in.
Tommy Rees is the new offensive coordinator at Alabama. They plucked him from Notre Dame. He's been there for a few years now. Went into coaching
Right.
immediately after his playing days there as an Irish quarterback.
Hmm.
He's definitely kind of a out of nowhere pick, but Nick Saban seemed to really like him.
Yeah.
They interviewed a bunch of people, and depending on which source you read, either were turned down or not. That,
Yeah.
but so we got Tommy Reese now, and
I'm a Reese.
it's interesting. Yeah, as far as I think I liked it the more I kind of looked at his stuff, and Notre
Hmm.
Dame's offense, as bad as they started last year, they really improved, and he does work. He works well with quarterbacks, and
Hmm.
he adjusts his play calling to what he's got. So it'll be interesting to see,
Exactly.
who takes the reign. I think a lot of it, the Alabama offense next year depends on who wins the quarterback position. Are we going to
For
be
sure.
kind of a running team with Milrow, or is what's his face, Ty Simpson, right? Is he going to win it? Are we
Yeah.
going to be more pass based?
Exactly.
So yeah, still no defensive coordinator, but we do
Yeah.
know it's not going to be Todd Grantham. So I know we're both happy about
Thankfully,
that.
man, for sure. Because
Um,
I know that all of a sudden, and I think that was more other fan bases trolling than anything. But everybody's like, "Oh, what's Todd Grantham coming to town?" I was like, "Come on, and they can't be. Like, there's no way." Like, but as far as the Reese hire, I mean, I like it because he's a younger guy. Just coming into the coaching game, he's a hungry guy. He's still looking for his actual big chance.
mhm,
So I think he's really gonna uh, I think he's going to do good things in Tuscaloosa. One thing I really like about it, he's like to run the ball. So I think that's a big thing because I think Nick really likes to still, despite evolving offense, he still likes to have a good running game, and I think we can get back to that more with Reese as the OC. I thought that was one of the key things that I liked about him. And also, I mean, the difference in talent level, even though Notre Dame has some talent between South Bend and Tuscaloosa, is immense. So I think, I think he'll be fine.
absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned it running the ball. It did seem like Saban wants to get back to kind of not necessarily 2012 offense, but something more ball control.
Right,
It's one thing if you got that like to Mac Jones era offense where we're just scoring. We got 40 points at halftime. Then yeah, it doesn't matter how
right,
long you have the ball because you got 40 points.
exactly,
But if we're not going to do that, then yeah, controlling the ball, keeping the other offense off the field, giving your defense a rest is important. And yeah, one
exactly.
thing, and kind of studying up on Reese, I liked, man, he uses his tight ends, and I feel
Yeah,
like
for
that's
sure,
something that Alabama has not done in a long time is use tight ends, and we've had good tight ends that we just did not really
definitely.
use. So
Right. Yeah, I bet you Latu was like, man, where was this last year?
yeah, our boy had a decent game in the Senior Bowl yesterday too.
Yeah, I heard it. He's had a good week there too, so that's good
Yeah,
for him.
but yeah, so we got that transfer coming in from Maryland at tight end. So we'll see what Tommy
Yeah,
Reese does with that, and a great stable of
exactly.
running backs there. And then we'll see what goes on the defensive side of the ball. Just
Right.
how,
I've heard so many different
oh
things.
yeah,
Like now, the big hype train is Kevin Steele. I don't think that's
Oh,
gonna happen, but that's the
please
new
no.
hot story. That's a new hot story. But I think overall, I think Saban's looking for younger guys because I think he knows eventually he's gonna have to step away, and I think he would rather hand it off to somebody rather than bring in somebody completely new to the system. I
Hmm.
think maybe that's some of the thinking. With getting Reese, a younger guy who can evolve, can sit a couple years, while Saban does his last couple and, move from there. And I think he probably looking that same way on the defense. I mean, they're just revolving the same type of coaches. I think it's good to get away from that because I think we all know Kevin still had not a bad defensive coordinator, but just some of the issues and, the everything that goes along with it. I said, I don't think that really is going to excite the players or anything like that. So
Yeah, for sure. And
we'll see.
with the number one recruiting class this year, any guy has incentive to stick around for at least a couple years to try to really see what he
Oh
gets out
yeah,
of this talent that we've got coming in.
for
So,
sure.
and one
Yeah,
thing
because that was a heck of a ball.
yeah, one thing you talked about rumors. Another thing I've heard is that it looks like it might be difficult for Jeremy Pruitt to get the okay from either the NCAA or SEC or whoever the powers that be.
Yeah,
Maybe,
that's
so, but we'll see. Again, that's something we don't. I don't have any sources. So
yeah, yeah. It just seems like just with the delay and everything, because everything seems to be pointing directly to Pruitt, and then kind of backed off. So I'm thinking the SEC, or yeah, I would assume it's a SEC thing more than an NCAA thing, but I don't know. I'm assuming someone talked to someone in Alabama and said cool off on Jeremy a little bit. I mean, but I was wondering, is there a way to bring him on as an analyst, or is that kind of a no-no, or would he even do something like that? I don't know. But
that is, yeah, that's a question I would have too. Is if they would be like, all right, well, you can get him on as a non-coaching member of your staff, and
mhm,
then once his whatever, if he gets penalties, his investigation still is not concluded, so we don't
right,
know if he's going to get a show cause or anything
the
from.
show clock, right,
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of that remains to be seen, but that's the next thing we're waiting for on the gridiron. On the hardwood, up and down week for the Tide. Got just absolutely blown out by Oklahoma last weekend in the Big 12
right,
ACC Challenge. Did not show up for that game
yeah,
at all.
at all.
Yeah, just yeah, did not show up, and then bounced back with a big win over LSU. Um,
And that big win on Tuesday against Vanderbilt,
yeah, yeah,
slaughtered Vanderbilt.
slaughtered Vandy, just absolutely. Oof, nearly 50-point win there. Actually, it was 50. Was it? It was the
Yeah, it was
biggest
one of
biggest
the biggest
SEC win in
SEC
Alabama
win
history.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, so they bounced back good this week. From that
definitely did.
disappointing stone. I will say though one thing: is it troubling to you if you look at the losses Alabama's had this year, particularly Gonzaga and Oklahoma? Now they got these
Mm,
big beefy boys down low on the posts and
yeah.
centers, and that seems to be
Hmm.
something that Alabama's having trouble with. So are you a little worried
For
about that
sure.
come March?
Yeah, I was thinking about that because yeah, Drew Timmy abused us. And last weekend at 35 with the beard, he abused us. Um, and yeah, yeah, it might be a little troubling, but at the same time, it all depends on the matchups you get there, and a lot of teams don't have that. So at the same time, we're probably not going to see too much of that till the later rounds. So that's one good thing. Other thing too is the I was wondering is how much with that whole Darius Miller situation, how much did that play into the that week? Because we had a tough game against Mississippi State before the OU game, and team seemed a little bit off, and definitely off in Norman. So wonder if they're coming back from that, and that's going to affect you because it's a basketball team. You only have 12, 13 people, so you're going to be pretty close with everybody. So I think they may have had a more of an effect than what people may have thought about originally.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, the mindset of the team, you never know what's going on in those guys' heads. And a lot of times with college sports, we tend to forget those are kids
I
out
mean,
there.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they're 18 to 20 year olds. I mean, what were we doing at 18 to 20? You know,
we're not going to say on the record. Uh,
right? But we always have these high expectations. You know, they're supposed to be this, that, and the other. Most of us will say that. You got to think, man, what were we doing? What will we have done in this type of situation? And it's probably not nearly as mature or as great.
hmm And nowhere near the pressure of these kids, you know.
No, exactly,
You know.
exactly.
As far as the big man thing, that is something that worries me a little. It always, a lot of
Yeah.
once you get to the tournament, it's about matchups. And the thing about that worries me is you don't need to face a 5-star big guy like that. That's a guy that you get into that second round against a 7 or 10 seed or 8, 9 seed, and if they got a big guy and your
Oh,
three
big
point
guy,
shoot,
scrappy, and
and our
yeah,
3 point shooting goes cold, that's a scary prospect. But
yeah,
I'm sure
because
Oates and the coaching staff will work on that.
right, yeah, because that's I guess the biggest thing. A big man, and then sometime when we get when they force us into that half court offense and we can't gun it all, like yeah, sometimes that slows us down a little bit.
hmm
Half court
yeah,
set.
but quick, Nate Oates extended this week.
Yeah,
Um,
he was. I like that.
so yeah, a
He's
big
been a hot
2029,
name out
a big buyout, which should definitely keep him at school for at least a few more years, and then
there.
hopefully we get the arena done, get him some facilities to really entice him to stay and for recruits to keep coming. There was
Exactly.
reports that he said that Greg Byrne has told him with inflation and construction costs, the arena now would cost $250 million, which it would put it around middle of the league as far as NBA arenas goes, and I'm sure a
Mm-hmm.
little higher end for college arenas. But as one of the founders of the Alabama Take, Caleb Johnson, says, once you get to that amount, money is basically made up. So I say just go ahead and build the damn thing. I mean,
Right.
it's all tied up in bank loans and credit
Mm-hmm.
lines and all of that at that point, and
Yeah.
it'll pay for itself over time.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
and yeah, once you get past a certain amount, I mean, all the money that comes in, it'll be fine. Like it'll work itself out.
yeah, just yeah, build the arena,
Just
blow up
get
Coleman,
us out of Coleman. Get
yeah,
us out of Coleman, please. It
blow it
was
up, build it over Coleman or over by the softball field, whatever site you want to pick. Just
just
build
make it happen.
build a nice, beautiful arena.
Exactly.
Give the basketball team
Because
some good facilities. Uh,
cause we've been. I mean, we were worried that we were wondering why we were in Coleman in '02.
yeah,
So.
and then we got that bogus little renovation, quote unquote, where all they did was make the mezzanine look nice and
Yeah, the mezzanine and little front little thing, and
yeah,
yeah.
put some signs on the concession stands.
Oh, buddy,
Didn't do a damn thing inside the court.
no, not at all.
Yeah, build a new arena, get the students down low, get them out of that caves in the
Yeah,
corners.
exactly. Yeah, get
Bl-
them around,
yeah,
make it
blow up
as
Coleman
intimidating as possible, and
and give Nate Oates a reason to stay for even longer and give recruits a reason to keep coming here.
exactly because he's. I mean, I think he's building something special. I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, based on everything, of course, we're already in the tournament this year. It's just a matter of gonna be where. But I mean, that's gonna be 3 straight tournaments. I mean, that's been since Mark Godfrey, so
hmm Yeah, it's been a
he's
long
going
time.
places.
And hopefully, yeah, get out the first. I mean, obviously, hopefully this year's a Final Four run, but
Right.
keep making it to those second weekends. Get to that. That's where I think we've always said with Alabama's resources, there's no reason this shouldn't be a team that perennially makes the second weekend in the tournaments.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, you got like we had talked about before. I mean, there's other quote unquote football schools that consistently have a good basketball program. With Michigan, Ohio State, Florida. I mean, there's no reason why we're not in that continuous expectation second weekend. You know, make a Final Four every now and again. I mean, we should have those type of expectations. I think Of course, never going to be as high as football, but it shouldn't be. Oh, good, we made the tournament. I've never liked that mindset. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not a program that should just be happy to be there.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, now we can move on to the NFL. We'll start, like I said, we'll start with the news of the week. In terms of a lot of coaching changes, Sean Payton back in the game. He goes to Denver. Denver trades a first and second round pick to it. New Orleans. That's great for New Orleans. Getting a first round pick, especially after they've traded
Right.
some away. Um,
Exactly.
how do you feel
And,
about it for Denver?
well, I said some things about it on my personal Facebook page about at one point Sean Payton was a great coach, but I think not necessarily the game has passed him by, but I mean, is he really someone that's going to give you over the top? I don't know, and just the amount that Denver. I mean, they swung with fences with Russ, swinging the fences again with Sean Payton, and if those two things don't work, I mean, they're stuck for a while without picks and a lot of problems there if things don't go. And in Sean Payton's first year and Russell's second year, that if they're anything like they were this year, my goodness, big failure all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. Sean Payton's a good coach. We can't deny that. He's a good offensive mind. But we do need to wonder how much of it was him and Drew Brees being a perfect pairing for each other.
Oh yeah.
Um, the Saints definitely should have won more in their time there. Some
Hmm.
of that's not on Peyton or Breeze, some of that's on the defense, some of that's on maybe some shady refereeing.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't. They won the one Super Bowl, and they had a lot of heartbreaking losses and a lot of early exits from
Right.
the playoffs when they should have done more. But I'm interested to see if I assume they'll go into the season with Russ as the quarterback, unless another major trade happens. But I am interested to see if he maybe gets a younger guy in there, either via the draft or free
Hmm.
agency or a smaller trade, and
Right. Yeah,
maybe
that
has
would be interesting.
has a backup plan, someone more that he likes, or if he works,
Right.
if he even can work some magic with Russ, or if Russ is cooked. Because what we saw last year,
Was
Russ,
not it.
yeah, not it.
Russ
No.
took the shell of himself, and some of it. I mean, the points the Denver receivers didn't give him a lot of help, a lot of drop passes. But yeah, that was just a mess all around from the coach and hire on down. So it's been a tough run of things in Denver. Yeah, but it'll be interesting just to see how it plays out. Because honestly, I think though they got Sean Payton, it doesn't sound like they were really wanting to go Sean Payton until they knew for sure D'Amico was going to Houston. So
Yeah.
definitely there's a second option here.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflicting reports on if they wanted Peyton all along or if they were desperately trying to get D'Amico Ryans.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll see that. That's a good transition. D'Amico Ryans ends up back in Houston where he played for a lot of his
Right.
career, was a team captain. Um, Finally gets a coaching job that he has earned for sure.
For sure.
Happy for him. He was a player during our time at Alabama, a three-star guy, and then came in to be, one of
Yeah.
the better linebackers in the country.
Right. Him
Uh,
and Freddie Roach, man, that was a heck of
hmm
a duo.
Absolutely, yeah. That was for all the you know um, failings those football teams had when we were there. The
The
linebacker,
defense was not it.
yeah, man,
Yeah,
defensive linebackers were not it. No,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, D'Amico, that our senior year, that Cotton Bowl year was
Oh,
that great defense.
yeah,
Him and Jawan
for sure.
Simpson there.
Yeah, Roman Harper in the safety, and
Mm-hmm,
Charlie Pepper was on that team. Like
mm-hmm,
we had a lot of talent on the defense.
for
Definitely a lot of
sure.
talent.
Yeah. But D'Amico Ryans goes to Houston.
Yeah,
We'll see if he
he
gets another Alabama guy and Bryce Young in the draft to kind of build around. But
exactly. That'd
I
be
think,
interesting.
yeah, I like it. I mean, he's deserved it. His defense has
Oh yeah, I
consistently
mean
been
he
in the best in the NFL.
definitely deserved it. I mean he did everything he could to get this opportunity. I'm happy for him. Only thing I worry about with him, and I think the biggest concern for a lot of people is just the Texans as an organization. You know, they've had a
Hmm.
lot of dumb things that they've done the last, basically since making Bill O'Brien the coach and the GM. uh, but you know, I guess if anybody knows the franchise and the ownership, it's D'Amico. So you know, he probably knows it better than anybody on the outside looking in, having played most of his career there. So I mean, it's the same ownership. So I mean, I'm sure he has no real surprises going in. You know, just hopefully that they let him do what he needs to do, and you know, let him make the decisions and let him get the 6 years of his contract there, because you know they've been quick to fire. Some of it, I think, you know, no one really thought Coley or you know, David Coley, that was a weird hire. And of course, I don't think anybody really thought Lovey was going to be that long term. So, you know, I think they'll at least give D'Amico the opportunity to hopefully at least get his, you know, 5, 6 years there. And because, you know, it's a franchise that's really should have patience because they've been a mess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You hope that they give him time to, because they're lacking talent there. He needs to get some talent there. That defense is not
Oh,
going to
yeah,
immediately turn around just because he's there.
exactly.
They need to build up through the draft and free agency and
Hmm.
trades and all that.
But they have a lot of draft picks, so they
Yeah,
should be able to put something good together. It'd be interesting. They, you know, what they do if they go with Bryce or, you know, that'd be interesting.
yeah. And they're certainly in a good division to be able to
Oh
maybe
yeah,
rebuild quicker than some other divisions.
for sure. Because I mean, you go 9 and with what 9, 10 and 7, 9 and 8, and you might win the division.
Yeah, for sure. Elsewhere, the Panthers filled their coaching vacancy, taking Frank Wright, who was let go by the Colts in the middle of the year. We'll see how that works out. Again, that's another one that depends. What are they going to do with their quarterback situation? I think Frank Wright's a good coach. I'm not sure he got a good deal. You know, he did miss. He's the one that convinced the Colts to get Carson Wentz. He
Yeah,
thought
Ryan.
he thought he
Yeah,
could fix him.
Ryan.
He couldn't. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then he got stuck with Matt Ryan. So we'll see what he
yeah,
gets there with
yeah. We'll see.
a
You
combine.
know,
Yeah,
it's interesting. But I mean, if you're the Panthers, like I don't know, like you just see a guy. He's kind of gone downhill. He started off kind of a hot commodity and kind of fell off towards the end. Like you just immediately want to bring him in. Like that was my only thing. Like he might very well be what they need, but I was like, yikes! Like you know, I might have looked around a little bit longer, but they made that move pretty quick. So obviously that was their guy. So
hmm yeah. The two head coach openings left are the Cardinals and the Colts. So they're
uh,
still looking for their guys.
I don't
Um,
think either one's gonna feel. I don't think, especially that Cardinal one, I don't think that's gonna feel very quickly because they're a mess right now.
yeah, that's yeah, the Colts. Um, with the Colts, you don't know what you're getting in terms of that. That's a kind of a messy roster situation as well. Um,
Yeah,
at least with the Cardinals, you got some talent there. Um,
yeah.
they
You
have
got
weapons on
Kyler.
that offense. Yeah, you got him. You
Yeah.
got DeAndre Hopkins. Although there's been some rumblings that maybe they could trade him to try to, get some draft capital or something. So we'll see where that
I
goes.
heard that. Yeah.
But you got Hollywood Brown, you got Rondell Moore, you got
Hmm.
is it Chase Edmonds? You got
It's a lot of on paper they look
yeah.
good.
Uh, um, hell, I almost called him John Connor, but this is not the Terminator. The other running back they got from the Steelers, whose name
Yeah.
played at Michigan State. We know who he is. I just can't think. I'm blanking on
Yeah.
his name right
Yeah.
now. Uh,
James Conner.
James Connor. That's it, right?
Yeah, from Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So elsewhere in the NFL, as we get to coordinator news, Cowboys let go of Kellen Moore, and he was unemployed for about 5 minutes, and he was picked up in San Diego. Um, how do you feel about that for them, seeing his work over the past few years?
Well, I've not been the biggest fan of Kellen Moore for the last couple of years. Just thought, he was. I guess he's kind of in the same reason why a lot of people don't like Bill O'Brien, and it's crazy enough I had both at the same time. Good numbers wise, you would think, oh, everything's wonderful, but then it's situationals, and you're just like, what the heck are you doing? And even in the playoffs, everything is, of course, Dak interceptions, but you look, we're first and goal about the 20 on the first interception. It's like, why are we passing in that situation? So, I mean, I think, he's still a young guy, still pretty young. Maybe it was a move he needs, and we'll see. But, the Chargers obviously thought he was the guy because they jumped on him within like 5 minutes of being like going Dallas. So that'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of talent in LA. So, I mean, well, I guess we'll find out if it was more of a Dallas thing or more of a him thing for sure.
Absolutely. And then to replace him, they just got Brian Schottenheimer this week. How do you feel about that?
I don't know how much he's going to be doing because I don't think he's necessarily calling the plays there. But he has experience in the league, and I mean he's been around, so a lot of experience. I don't know with him not calling the plays. I think I'm a little because he's had some issues with calling plays in the past, so he's not necessarily calling the plays. But I think just for what he'll bring with experience wise, I think it'll be okay there. I think the biggest thing for the Cowboys, of course, was excuse me, keeping our defensive coordinator more than anything, and
Hmm.
we're able to at least keep him for another year there. So I think that was the biggest part of the coaching staff that definitely had to stay the same there. So, but I couldn't be not pretty happy considering there was a one coach I wanted to see go if any was Kellen Moore. So both two OCs and one off season can't ask for much more, I guess.
That's true. So yeah, we'll see a lot about how much it was. Yeah, the talent on the Dallas offense versus coaching and vice versa. No other real big news as far as coordinators except for the NFL. The Ravens still searching for their guy to replace the ousted Greg Roman and see who they can get in there to make Lamar Jackson happy. And
Exactly.
still working on trying to sign Lamar for long term. So we'll see how that shakes out. Along with those two head coach openings we talked about. Um, let's see. Other than that, Pro Bowl going on this right now as we speak. It's been interesting to see the players' reactions. Raiders running back and former Alabama guy Josh Jacobs tweeted out last night, "Man, this shit sucks." So I don't know. I imagine it does. The players miss being sent to Hawaii every year. Vegas can be fun, but it's not Hawaii.
Not why. I mean,
But
half the league
yeah,
goes to Vegas to play the Raiders anyway. I mean, eight, eight,
exactly. Yeah,
eight, 8 games a year are in Vegas now, and I mean, for these guys, I mean, Vegas is just another day. It is not that big of a thing to go for multimillionaire guys to go to Vegas. I mean, it's not anything super exciting there. If there's and I know they'll never get away from it completely, but if there was a All Star or game kind of get rid of it, definitely the NFL just for where it happens in the season and the lull in between your top guys. I mean, they probably just got ousted from the playoffs, not interested in it, and I mean, it doesn't really bring a whole lot. So, you know, been a long debate, and a lot of people seem to be with it. Just get rid of the Pro Bowl altogether. But I'm sure that'll.
yeah. I don't mind that. I think I've said for a while it should be type of flag football, more skills competitions. Because yeah,
Yeah,
no one wants to hit after a full season. No one wants to go you know, full tilt in an exhibition game anyway. And plus, the rules are weird. You can't blitz. You can only play certain defenses. It's kind of
yeah.
it's not real football. maybe just the owners and the players should band together and build a new stadium for Hawaii because Aloha's stadium's falling apart.
Right. Yeah.
It,
I think it
it's
was.
not suitable anymore.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely some excitement going to Hawaii, even if it's more for your family. Just to have the kids
Exactly. Yeah.
go to Hawaii, and still pretty cool.
Yeah. Elsewhere, we're just it's kind of playing the waiting game in this part. As far as off the field stuff, will Aaron Rodgers be in Green Bay next season?
Yeah.
Where's Derek Carr going to go? Who's signing what free agents, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But that's down the line. We will get to the main event, the Super Bowl. Um, we had one good conference championship last week and one unfortunate one. We'll start there. The NFC, the Eagles kind of just ran all over the Niners.
Yeah.
The 49ers must have they did something to piss Karma off because yet another quarterback injury. Brock Purdy goes down.
Yeah.
Josh Johnson
Went down.
was in there. Yes, and then he goes down with Christian McCaffrey was in there running plays as quarterback. It was
It
just
was
they had no chance. After that, no chance. The Eagles just leaned on them.
right. That
So yeah, they will represent the NFC and the AFC. The Chiefs outlasted the Bengals. The Bengals had a shot, man. They had their shots to win that
yeah.
game. Probably should have won that game. I know a lot of crying about some bad refereeing or some
Mm.
weird calls, but no, they had their shots. They turned the ball over. They didn't make stops.
Untimely picks. That's very Joe Burrow
hmm
late pick there, but you know,
Yeah. And of course, a lot of it was on what was that? The linebacker number 58's. His late hit was a dumb play for sure. You got to stay away from the quarterback. But if you think that's the reason they lost you, no, you're wrong. That's it didn't help.
and who
But
doesn't? I mean, Buckner's still one of the better kickers in the league. I mean, even if they're kicking from there,
mhm.
I mean, of course, your percentage goes down somewhat, but I mean, they probably had time for a player or two more. I mean, there's no telling, if he even 5-10 yards, he probably still hits that kick. So more
But
to,
yeah, as such, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's still a pretty good chance he gets that kick.
but
But so now we have the two one seeds in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs and the Eagles. And it should be a really fun game. Greg, who do you got?
you know, uh, sadly, being a Cowboys fan, don't like to say it, but I think the Eagles win the game. I think top to bottom, they're the more complete team. I think they have the better defense. I mean, of course, you can't ever, as we know, you can't ever count out Patrick Mahomes, but I just think the Eagles are
hmm
a little bit better, have a little more talent on that offense, and I think that their defense is nasty. I mean, I don't think that they get it some of the hype as a great defense because a lot of that goes to the 49ers and such. But we saw in this playoffs that the Eagles defense has been nasty. They beat the mess out the Giants and really roughed them up. They really roughed up the 49ers and. To be, everybody's like, well, they won without the quarterback, but they put out those quarterbacks. It's not like Brock Purdy
hmm
had a freak injury out in the open field or anything. Like he got laid out. So, I mean, they're a physical team, and I think it'll be a good game. But yeah, I got the Eagles. I'm saying somewhere like 27-24 type game.
Oh, all right. I think I tend to agree. I like the Eagles, like you said, their physicality. I like that. Um, I don't think the Chiefs have. We've seen Miko Hardman's not going to play. That takes away some speed on that Chiefs offense. Travis Kelsey's going to get his.
Yeah,
We know that. But if you can, you know,
limit him.
manage, yeah, if you can manage everyone else and just, he could go off, but he can't. Well, we say he can't score 5 touchdowns, but he can. Uh, but yeah, we got to wonder about Pat Mahomes' ankle. He
Right.
he toughed it out there, but still, that's against a hard hitting team like the Eagles. That's something to worry about. And then they can just lean on that defense with that run game. You figured Jalen Hurts will probably be a little more involved in the run game. We saw him against San Francisco. He's kind of taking it easy, sliding, not really trying to fight for extra yards. But in the Super Bowl,
Everything's on the line.
hey man, exactly. And they have those, those two great receivers, and AJ Brown and our boy Devontae Smith.
Right.
They got a great tight end in their own right. I do. I think Philly's going to win, their second Super Bowl here in what 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Jalen's going to get it. I think it'll be a good game, like you too. Kind of close. I think. Um, I wouldn't be surprised too if maybe the Eagles kind of jump out a little bit and then the Chiefs chip away because Pat Mahomes does Pat Mahomes stuff.
Right.
But I think it'll be a fun game either way. I'm just not sure for the Chiefs to win, they're going to have to
They're gonna have to.
make big plays, which they can do, but they really haven't done a lot this year. That hasn't been their MO this year.
Yeah, exactly. I think
They're,
that they fought it out pretty well, not having that number one guy as
hmm
far as our actual wide receiver. I mean, Travis Kelce, we know how good he is, but they haven't had any consistency as far as a number one wide receiver. Different guys have stepped up at different times, but no one's been, consistently, oh, he's the guy. And I think against a team like Philly, you have to have, unless someone really steps up that we're not sure of, I just think eventually that's going to be the Achilles heel for him. There's just not enough playmakers that consistent playmakers that are going to be enough for Kansas City. Despite the magic of Mahomes, I just think that Philly's
hmm
a little too much for him.
yeah. Yeah. They did get some good pressure on Joe Burrow AFC title game. If they can match that, that's definitely something. If you can make the Eagles offense one dimensional.
But it's
Um,
time. But you put pressure on Jalen, but it's like coming at the wrong angles. He's going to light you up too.
exactly. Yeah. You have to contain and you have to make sure that somebody's staying home in the middle because
Yeah.
he can break it down the middle. He can get outside. See, I think there's just a very talented, well coached team in Philly there, and like we've mentioned, the physicality I think will be the ultimate difference.
Right.
I think we'll see them lifting the Lombardi Trophy next weekend.
Now that we said
And
City by 40.
yeah, exactly. Knowing our curse now, if you've paying attention, that means the Chiefs are going to win in the biggest blowout in Super Bowl history.
Pretty much.
Um, sorry, Philly fans. Sorry, Philly fans. Greg's probably not that sorry,
Not
but
really. But it's one of those situations. I'm not as hateful for the Eagles just because who's on the
hmm
team as what I normally am. I still
yeah,
want them to lose, but you can't. Back in the day, I could hate Donovan McNabb. But I mean, I can't hate. I can't hate Jalen. I can't hate Devontae. It's not the same. It's the team hate is there, but the individuals not as much. So a little soft on the Eagles, and I have been in past times.
yeah.
But
And contrary to what a lot of people on the internet are barking about, we can claim Jalen Hurts as Alabama fans.
yes,
He claims Alabama.
he claims out.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah,
yes,
he can claim both. It's okay for Oklahoma and Alabama fans to cheer for him. It's fine.
that
He
yes, sir.
he was what 26-2 as a starter here. He
Right,
uh won the national. He was the reason we got to the national title game.
exactly,
If it weren't for an unreal drive from Deshaun Watson, everyone forgets his freshman year, Jalen Hurts walked off the field after scoring the go-ahead touchdown.
exactly.
If the defense makes a stop on that drive, Jalen Hurts wins the national title as a freshman, scoring the winning touchdown.
There's less than 2 minutes to go, and
Yeah, he led a drive. Yeah.
and in the very next year, I mean, he got us to the national title game. I mean, yes,
Got it. Yeah, got us to it. And then the year after that came in the reverse situation and won the SEC title game.
because we were
Uh,
exactly
so yeah, Jalen Hurts is Alabama through and through. Uh, so we will, that's probably where my rooting interest will lie.
right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
as much as I don't like to root for Philadelphia
right.
teams, as someone who grew up in Baltimore,
Right.
still, yeah. Um, But yeah, Greg, anything we missed from the world of sports you'd like to touch on?
I think we've hit most everything. You got a added bonus there with the Kyrie thing, but it's a good
Hmm.
amount to talk about, and it's gonna be a fun week there, Super Bowl week. Hopefully, we'll get some good stuff out the media, because media days. Because I mean, as far as there's not a lot of going right now. I guess not a lot of hatred, a lot of pizzazz going between the two teams. So kind of quiet on that front. So see what media day brings, and should be a good game next Sunday. And got some good college basketball coming up, especially for Alabama. So
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right, then that will take us to our ending segment. Greg, what has been done up real good for you?
done up for me real good this week. Man, just making it through the week there. Started off kind of shaky, but anytime you can make it through another week, work and everything. So business picked up a little bit. So I was just happy to get through it and on to the next. How about you?
I'm going to give a shout out to the NHL All Star Game festivities. I watched a little bit of them.
Mm-hmm.
They did some really fun stuff. They were out there down in Fort Lauderdale and on the beach having, contests, shooting pucks at surfboards and stuff. I grew up playing hockey, but kind of stopped watching NHL after they canceled that season back when we were in school in '04, '05 or so. Um, but I always love the sport, and it's just that's what All Star Weekend should be. Really fun, goofy stuff like
Yeah.
that. Have fun. You got Alexander Ovechkin out there with his son and Sidney Crosby in a contest. Um, it's just that's what sports should be. We take it too seriously at times as fans, and
Oh yeah, we do.
yeah, we go crazy sometimes and put too much weight on it as in the media people. But uh, they're fun. At the end of the day, they're supposed to be fun, friendly competition, and I thought the NHL did a really good job of that
Oh
this
yeah.
week. So that's where my done up real good would be. And then also, I will say done up real good. Blaine, of course, our head honcho here at the Alabama Take, made sure that you can now get Taken on Sports merch at online here. If I can find the stuff here,
Nice.
if I'm of course bad, did not have this prepared for this segment, but I believe it is trepublic.com. Let me double check that. But if you listen and you want to take it on sports shirt or coffee mug or
Oh, quick, it's got hot.
oh yeah, sticker, yeah, exactly. It's hot merchandise, hot
Get it
merchandise.
while you can.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Is actually it is indeed tpublic.com, teepublic.com. You can just search for either the Alabama Take or Taking on Sports.
Nice.
Like I said, you can get yourself some T-shirts. They got everything on that: stickers, coffee mugs, sweatshirts, all kinds of stuff. And get your kids some shirts. Uh, so yeah, do that. It'd be fun. Rep us out there. Other than that, do enjoy your week, everybody. As always, check out all of the great podcasts on the Alabama Take uh, family of podcasts, and Alabama Slam did a good one up on the Royal Rumble this week. This Song Sucks is back with a new season. Always go to alabamatake.com. And something I did too in the week off, we got a Twitter feed now, Taking on Sports on Twitter. Look us up, follow us. Shout us if you want us to cover anything during the week. Holler at us, and we'll try to get to it. Other than that, Greg, buddy, have a good one. Until next
Boom.
time.
Sir.